All right, talking about some premium phones, I think this is one of the more interesting comparisons for American consumers. The battle of the alternative brands. Fight for blood! Really trying to bring back that dumb intro for phone comparisons. This is something a little different that I'm doing on my OnePlus 11 coverage, breaking up some of the conversations into more specific videos. I can understand that might be a little difficult to track, so I do have a OnePlus playlist. Here we go. If you're looking for something a little different than what Samsung and Apple have to offer, it's these two players right here in the American smartphone market. Now, first, to get this out of the way, the more fair comparison would probably be the Pixel 7 versus the OnePlus 11, but I don't have the Pixel 7 in-house. I only have the 7 Pro, but we can also talk about some of the hardware differences like triple camera solutions by stepping up to this more expensive Pixel. A lot of this conversation will hold true for the Pixel 7 with a couple different specific metrics. Starting off with design, my completely biased opinion, I like the Pixel a little better. It's a unique look for a phone. I like the rear visor, maintaining a consistent stretch across the back. You lay it flat on a table. It's a lot less wobbly when you're just trying to poke around. I don't have anything against the OnePlus look. The circle camera housing is really clean. I like it. I think it also looks good on Vivo and Huawei, all the way back to old Lumias. I think it's silly to pretend that this isn't a good-looking phone. Both phones have great screens, 1440p at 120 Hz, though the OnePlus 11 should prove just a bit better for power draw, and we know that the screens are a bit thirsty on the Pixel phones. And both have optical in-display fingerprint sensors, and I'd say the OnePlus is a little snappier there too. The Pixel 7 Pro is a great improvement over the 6 Pro, but OnePlus has been more consistent for me. Both phones have great haptics, but the OnePlus 11 is both a little punchier and more customizable. You can tune the feedback, and that's a fun little trick for your haptic pulses. And both phones have great speakers. We can do just a quick jazz test right here. The headphone situation is similar. You'll probably go Bluetooth or dongle, but OnePlus still has a built-in headphone DAC. You can use a USB powered DAC or a simple pass-through dongle, and OnePlus will support both. The Pixels have no audio output, no pass-through for a dongle on this USB-C. That's increasingly less of a concern these days, but it's just kind of cool that OnePlus still does that. If you really care about headphones on your phone, I think we'd all agree that just having a headphone jack would be better, of course, but it's still nice to have something that's a little bit more universally compatible if you have an old dongle lying around. But it's software which is gonna be the biggest differentiator between these two phones. Now, both are on Android 13. And that's where the similarities end. The Pixel experience is sleek and streamlined, and more of Google's focus is on services and the Google Assistant. Those core Pixel features like on-device speech-to-text transcription and call screening. There's a heavy focus on ubiquitous search and background management. The Google claim is a Pixel should more easily blend into the background of your day as just an omnipresent computing presence. The OnePlus is an Android, so it has a number of similar Google features, but there's a more significant skin applied to this phone. The new Oxygen OS animation engine is gorgeous, and lots of phone transitions are handled in a really pleasing way. Part of the influence is certainly iOS, where transitions seem a little slower than I would prefer. I maybe sped them up on my own in the developer options for using the phone day to day. But like iPhones, to keep those pretty animations, you slow them down and it keeps the janky moments to a minimum. There are some fun extras in Oxygen also. Split screen and floating window is more a part of the OnePlus multitasking. OnePlus's side shell for quick access for shortcuts. This should all look really familiar for for other premium skinned smartphones. Anyone who picks up both phones will recognize the main user interface similarities, but it's the little details that nudge someone into preferring one feel over the other. And for being totally frank, it's usually more familiarity that decides preferences rather than any objective metric. Pixels have been around a bit more with this Material You interface. People are more familiar with it. They're probably going to be inclined to like it more than this new flavor of Oxygen OS, which is less familiar. Having used both, I like both. I don't see where one is objectively superior because both phones feel clean and snappy. The OnePlus is going to be a more consistently powerful device. And we have a separate video, the last video we did, looking at benchmarks, which you can find in the video's description below or on that little OnePlus playlist that I set up. And if you want to head down there, make sure you smash that bell icon on your way down. A TLDR of that longer benchmark video, Google's Tensor is really good at chewing up video data, but the OnePlus 11 takes more significant wins across other CPU tasks and is a much more powerful option for gaming. How hard you might notice those differences depends on how hard you plan to drive each of these phones. A low estimation of average consumers do basic things on their phones, that means there's gonna be little difference between these two premium options here and going with like a 2-year-old mid-ranger. They're both ridiculous overkill for covering the basics. Because we get into the camera conversation, and this is an area where the Pixel 7 Pro has a few tricks to teach other good phones. Please pardon, brief interruption. We gotta thank this video's sponsor, you. The videos on this channel would literally not be possible without the generous contributions from the folks on my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. And over the couple of years that I've been running that Patreon, it's just proven to be an incredible community that really does help me take my content up to the next level. But we never want supporting content creators to feel like a burden, especially for folks who might be struggling right now. In an age of algorithms, those folks who are out there sharing content on social media, posting it to appropriate subreddits, bringing new fun tech geeks to the conversation, that kind of effort means the world to creators like me. But if you have the means and you would like to contribute, please consider checking out patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. I'm writing up additional posts, production diaries. It's where my camera deep dives and camera analysis articles live. You get the 4K videos without the ads built into them. And we also have our own little private Discord, which is my safe space to nerd out. Once again, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Thank you all so much for the support, the contributions. These videos would not be possible without you. And now let's get back to the rest of the video. In terms of the simplest point-and-shoot photography, the Pixel 7 Pro is the champ. Google's HDR processing and skin rendition is a crowd favorite, and I still maintain this is the easiest phone camera to use on the market today. It's also a champ for matched 4K video. All the cameras on the Pixel shoot the same resolution at up to 60 frames per second. The Pixel is the only phone that I know of which can switch between all 3 rear cameras in one clip of 4K 60 video. The Pixel 7 has been around for a few software updates and improvements. The experience is very well polished. It's really early days for the OnePlus 11, but so far camera performance has been respectable. I think some of the HDR processing is a little inconsistent, especially with human skin and getting all of these tones and colors right, that's a strong point for the Pixel. But the dynamic range and saturation for landscapes and macro and nature shots, this is really fun. OnePlus has a few more fun modes to play with, and the video is solid from the main sensor. The Pixel has a larger main camera sensor, but the companion sensors are an interesting fight between the two. OnePlus has a larger ultra-wide sensor, which should help with some of the noise and processing for stills, especially in dimmer conditions, but the Pixel shoots 4K video from its ultra-wide. The Pixel has a lot more reach on the telephoto sensor, but I kinda like the OnePlus sensor better in a 50mm equivalent range for nice head and shoulder portraits. The Pixel easily wins this fight for video, but the OnePlus competes very well on stills and outperforms the Pixel significantly in buffering and processing. Now, I've talked about how the Pixel is the easiest camera to use, and that's true, if you only need to take one photo, the Pixel should be your choice. But if you might want to capture a couple of shots in a series, or you want extra chances to get the photo, that moment that you want, almost nothing slows down the OnePlus 11. A couple of photos into the buffer and the Pixel is starting to slow you down or might completely block the shutter button. Now, I'll have a more nuanced camera deep dive on the OnePlus 11. You can catch that on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. But in early testing, this is a fun camera to use. It feels different than a Samsung, iPhone, or a Pixel, but it's really easy getting fun shots out of it. And it has a handful of tools that can take the user farther before needing to install other apps. Fun things like not just RAW support, but a new RAW Plus mode, things that we'll never get on a Google badged mobile. Lastly, looking at battery life, both phones have been good, but I got better runtime on 5G with the OnePlus. This is anecdotal. I don't run really in-depth battery benchmarks anymore. Battery testing is maddeningly difficult, but in my neighborhood, I typically ended my day with more remaining battery on the OnePlus. The Pixel has wireless charging, the OnePlus 11 does not, if that's an important feature to you, but I greatly prefer real fast charging, which the OnePlus absolutely crushes. 80-watt charging with the fastest supported charger in the box that you buy the phone. That's a huge perk that I wish tech enthusiasts wouldn't hand wave away and dismiss. With the price of the phone, you get the best charger supported with the phone. Minutes on a charger gives you a day of runtime. This is a significant win for the OnePlus, especially in North America, considering the price points of all of our nicer than mid-ranger phones. And that's where we break down all these points, and I have to say, we're in really good shape for nice phones starting off 2023. There's a Google-specific flavor of Android that is going to appeal to a lot of folks out there, and OnePlus is delivering one of the best alternative options in North America. If you look at your phone as more of a communication tool and search companion, I think the Pixel is the hands-down winner. If you're wanting to do more high-performance compute tasks, or if you really enjoy gaming from a phone, the OnePlus is gonna be the better deal. And both of these phones arrive with premium price tags, but neither are outlandishly expensive. The OnePluses are slotted in between the Pixel 7 and 7 Pro. This is great territory to position competitive options. I want to test something on this video because I have a feeling that more folks in my audience are likely leaning Pixel over OnePlus. Who's winning the alternative phone brand battle? Which would you recommend to family and friends looking to spend a little bit more, get something just a little nicer? Let's have some good friendly debate down in the comments below. And as always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to the channel. Can't thank you enough for all the support recently. If you're clicking links in my descriptions, if you're hitting my home site, SomeGadgetGuy.com, or if you're joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list is basically the coolest collection of tech pals in all the realms. So I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch, spending a little bit more time on the Flickrs and really enjoying my time over on the Mastodons, but not so much on the Facebooks or the Instagrams. And I will catch you all on the next video.